I started picking locks, and I got lucky and popped two of them open, um, and then I ended up popping this really hard master lock, and the guy was like,
Nice.
"No way, you got that in like 30 seconds." Another team was working on it for like 2 hours, and I was like, "Beginner's luck, I guess."
Welcome back to the Cybersecurity Mentors Podcast. Today's guest is someone you might remember, Grant Adams. Last year, he joined us for a live coaching session. It was actually the first coaching session we did, where we kind of just talked about his background, kind of where he was in his journey. We gave a little bit of advice, reviewed his resume, and just talked about strategy and just mindset overall. So that was a huge episode for us. And now he's back after a year, just catching up, trying to tell us, how it is out there and kind of what he went through, the good, the bad, the ugly. So welcome, Grant.
Thank you guys for having me back on the show.
Yeah.
It's good
Did
to
you
see
have the
you.
beard and the long hair last time we spoke?
I think I was working on it, but no, it's been a long time coming.
I
It's
like
been
it. I
working.
like it.
Yeah, that's good. No, it's good to see you, Grant. And we've been keeping up, with you and pinging you on Discord. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? So it's been cool to see that progression and finally get an interview and then talking through that. So I think this will start there. Is if you can remember, it's been a year or so. That interview process that you went through. Maybe you went through several to try to finally land this position. How did that go for you?
Yeah. So the process of actually getting an interview took a while. The job industry seems kind of tough right now, and I was applying for lots and lots of jobs. And the way I actually found this job opportunity was kind of interesting because I had been applying to jobs online through like Indeed and LinkedIn and just wasn't getting any replies at all. So I decided to go to like an in-person security conference. So I found B-Sides Portland, and I knew you guys would love this. I know this was advice you used to give me a
That's
lot.
right.
For the
Yeah,
Yeah.
listeners, this was not planned. This
No,
literally
no,
is, this was
we
not
didn't even
planned.
know he was going to say this, but
No.
yes, good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So I ended up going to B-Sides Portland, and with the intention of trying to connect to like with people, meet people, rub elbows, and ended up meeting a guy there who worked for NetSpy, the company I'm working for now, and he told me that they were hiring, and showed me the application form, and it was kind of a hidden application. It wasn't on LinkedIn, it wasn't on Indeed or anything like that. They'd kind of just posted it on their own site. And so if I'd never met that guy, I never would have found it. But I know it's
Grant, hang on. Let
hilarious.
me pause you right here, okay? This is exactly what we were talking about with our networking is king. Always be networking.
Yeah.
I think people are going to think we paid you money to talk about this, but we literally, this is what we just talked about this course we made, and I'm
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of advertising it now. But you are
Yeah.
advertising the exact stuff that we talked about, like hidden jobs. So
Yeah.
Grant, I didn't
Yeah.
give you. I'm not paying you, but I might need to send you something.
I mean, you guys know your stuff. And yeah, it's true. I think I knew you guys would love this story. And so
Yes,
I was
yes, this is
excited to
great.
tell you guys. But yeah,
So
I
you
think
had the
it's
hidden
really,
job that you didn't that was out there. It's like, hey, check this out. Like, how did that conversation go?
yeah, it was interesting because B-Sides was a 2-day event, and the first day I was meeting people, but it wasn't really going as planned. I was having interactions, but not really finding any opportunities that I was hoping
Hmm.
for. And then on the second day, I was participating in the CTF event that was going on too. And I just happened to go by the physical security table, lock picking, and started picking some locks. You might remember me, Carson, and Zach got into
Yeah,
that a little bit in
yeah,
college.
yeah, yeah.
So Yeah, I started picking locks and I got lucky and popped two of them open and then I ended up popping this really hard master lock and the guy was like,
Nice.
"No way, you got that in like 30 seconds." Another team was working on it for like 2 hours. And I was like, beginner's luck, I guess. So, yeah, then we just started chatting after that. And he told me he worked at NetSpy, and yeah, and then it just came up naturally from there. So, it was partly being open to chatting to people and trying to
Mhm.
make connections, but then there's always just luck and chance, I think, that plays into it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Absolutely. You give off that vibe, man. If you go into this is just in life, you go into a situation and you're open and you're just open for opportunity, just open for whatever comes your way. Like that's just some sort of vibe you're giving out. People read that. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think man, there's a lot of good things here. Just picking locks. Like who knew picking locks would get you an opportunity to meet somebody,
I
right?
love that. Yeah, I
I
love
know.
it.
Yeah, that is great. Um, and just being open to have those conversations. How long did it take you to tell him that you were famous, that you were on a famous podcast, and then that's really what came up, and you're like, "Let me just show you my episode."
I
Does
didn't
he
have to
even know
bring
you've been on this podcast?
I didn't have to bring out the clout, no.
Oh, dang. Okay. I thought maybe that was like set. You had it set, and then we just
Yeah.
spiked it over the wire.
Uh, no,
No.
your
Okay.
advice your
No.
advice got
Okay.
me in the
Okay.
right position,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then
Okay. I'll take
it
it.
was just luck from there.
All right. No. No. Not luck. I mean, you went in there with intention, and you had a plan. So it was luck that you happened to be there at the right time, right place. But you worked it out too. So yeah, great job.
That's awesome. So, did you make any other connections while you were there, or did you? What were
Right.
some maybe additional connections or things you took away from going to a conference to network and just grow in your professional career?
Yeah. That's the interesting part for me is I kind of felt like I was striking out a little bit up until that point. And that was like the very last, like 10 minutes of the last day. I had met people and we were chatting and it was nice, but most of them were younger people looking for jobs as well, or just interested in cybersecurity and attending the conference out of curiosity. So good people nice people, good people to chat with, but they're not going to offer me a job kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's good though. You never know. You never know who could be a good connection or a link in the chain, and you may be able to help them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all good. It's like fishing. You know, sometimes you catch one, sometimes it's just, hey, we'll put that one back, no big deal. But no, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah. And so that was just, leading up to getting the interview. You actually asked about the interview process itself, but I wanted
Hmm.
to tell you
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the interviews it was probably the most intense interview process I'd been through. They had an initial call just to chat about things and I guess kind of check me out. Just
Mm.
am I weird, whatever, and that kind of thing. Um, and they asked me some really basic technical questions and asked about experience and that kind of stuff. And then after that, we scheduled another interview call, and that one was with actual technical employees, and they drilled me on more technical questions,
Hmm.
trying to see how far they could go and how deep my knowledge was on, I think they had 7 categories. So, and the questions would get progressively harder, and yeah, they just wanted to see where I was at. And then after passing that, they sent me a exam through some third party site, and it was a timed 1 hour exam that had logic questions as well as like here is some HTTP request response traffic. What stands out to you in that? And some other more technical questions too. So, yeah. And then after that process, yeah, I think that was the last step. And then they offered me the job.
Awesome.
So, yeah, let me ask you about those questions. So, how did you feel? I don't know if they graded you, if you knew what your score was, if you did, but how did you feel about, with your confidence level in answering those questions?
Yeah, they told us ahead of time that it was going to be hard for both of the technical parts. They said they wanted to push us and see the limits of our knowledge, and especially for the timed one, they told us we wouldn't have enough time. They wanted to put us under a time crunch. And even knowing that, it still felt bad and stressful.
Yeah.
It was definitely hard. And yeah, I felt like I did a good job, but I wasn't sure I did good enough, like going out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Did they
yeah,
give you any feedback after the interview or from the questions like, hey, here's what we saw from how you answer these questions. Here's what we think you did good. Here's what they think you did, could do better at. Was there any of that? Or is it like, okay, we're moving to the next step?
not really any feedback. During the technical interview, they did say a couple times throughout the process, you're doing great. You did great on that section, that kind of stuff, but no in-depth review of how I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, good to know.
So question, kind of when going back a little bit, the resume, right? So you found the application, you applied. To your knowledge, did that guy that you met at the lock picking section give the hiring manager a heads up or say, hey, I met this guy. He can pick a lock in 30 seconds. Like, to your knowledge, do you know if he gave you any sort of,
The wizard.
yeah, any sort of nudge in the company or no?
I think he said he could try when we were first chatting. He was like, yeah, maybe I could put a word in for you. I don't think he ended up like being able to do that. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I kind
Okay.
of told him, I've applied, but I think he was kind of just there for moral support, which was nice too. He was
Yeah,
kind of giving me
absolutely.
tips about the process and what was coming and things like that, but he didn't really, I don't think he put in a big word or anything.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious because my next question was, so the resume. So you said at the beginning you were applying to all of these different companies and just not hearing much back. Did you do anything different with your resume when you applied to this one, or did you kind of use the same format logic that you were using previously?
I think it was about the same.
The same? Okay.
I think partway through the application process, I was applying for a while, and then I think I sent it to you guys actually, and you guys helped me revise it, and then I kept applying to places hoping that would help. I got one response from a place, but it was kind of for a general IT low level entry level job, and I felt like I could do better than that with my experience, so I didn't end up going for that. But yeah, it was tough even with the good resume, I felt like.
Yeah, I mean, and this was last year. Was it kind of middle of the year, summer? Was it fall, spring?
It
Do you
was
remember?
it was like August of
August.
last year through, yeah, November.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, times like you said it, times are tough. Things are getting difficult. We're seeing now with just helping people, we're seeing people that are very qualified. They have very, very solid resumes, and it's just it's crazy out there. It's very, very tough right now. But anyway, yeah, I was just curious if how the whole resume thing and how everything worked out. But that's awesome, man. I'm really
Yeah.
happy for you. So,
Yeah.
are you able to tell us a little bit about kind of what you do, kind of what your job is, and kind of what you do?
Yeah, I think not super specific, but
Yeah,
I
no, no.
can tell you just the generals of what I do. Um, yeah, so right now I'm an associate security consultant. For the first 6 months, they have us go through a training process where we learn about the basics of web vulnerabilities. And then we have some internal applications that we spend weeks testing against. So each week we get a new application, we test it for a couple days, then we write up a report on our findings, and we present that report to our coach, kind of like a mock client presentation. And so we go through that week after week. And then the third part of the program is the one I'm in now, where we're actually testing client applications, but there's a primary tester as well. And we're kind of not competing, but they're comparing us with the primary tester just to see how we're doing, if there's anything that we're missing consistently, or if we're doing well, that kind of thing.
So this is more offensive security focus?
Yeah. So a security consultant's my official title, but we're pen testers for web applications specifically.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So one question I had, kind of, sorry to back up a little bit on this, maybe what skills you think helped you through the interview, through the questions that, you went through. What do you think were beneficial from your previous experience, or any training or learning that you did that may have helped you edge out the competition, or, get in to officially land the job? Is there anything that stands out, like skill set, that you, man, this probably was more, one or two things that may have helped?
Yeah. I think it was pretty wide ranging, the questions they asked. And so I felt like I was able to pull from experience everywhere. My
Okay.
experience with you guys, as well as what I had learned studying for the Security Plus and the Network Plus. And then what I've been doing on my own, like the Try Hack Me courses and Hack the Box. Because they asked about vulnerabilities, they asked about Linux commands, they asked about Windows commands, network traffic, all kinds of things.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to know. And I was thinking about, because this was for a web app security pen test type role, how much content in that was around web app security?
Yeah, I'd say maybe about 50-50, or
Okay.
maybe slightly higher, maybe 60-40, 60%
Okay.
being web application focused. I think they weren't super concerned with how deep our web application knowledge went, because they knew they'd be training us up on that
Right.
once we got hired. But they
Right.
kind of just wanted to get a sense for our general technical knowledge. And so yeah, it was good to know. Like, it's interesting that they asked about Linux commands and Windows commands and networking things, when we really haven't dealt with that at all now that
Right.
I'm hired with them. So yeah.
And did you know you were interviewing for a web app pen test position, or was it like a, hey, whatever, they'll put me where they need me? Did you know how specific it was?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be
Okay.
web application pen testing.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
And this last comment I'll say on just the whole back to the interview piece. I think just, number one, you found out about an application that you wouldn't have known about. We talked about that. So even the fact that it was hidden, quote unquote, it potentially lowered the pool of applicants. So it helps you stand out better versus 100 different people. Right. So that's awesome too. Even if he didn't put in a good word necessarily, but the fact that you met him and then, hey, guess what? There's a position, then you probably were in a much smaller pool than you typically would have been if it was on LinkedIn, right? I just read this whole Wall Street Journal article about this, like people applying for jobs, and how many of those are through bots that people are using AI to apply for jobs. And so as a hiring manager, you get 100 people, and then you're trying to weed through all that too. But so that's awesome too. And then the last thing is just having that, you mentioned that trusted insider, right? So even though he's not interviewing you, he wasn't the hiring manager, how much better does it help knowing what the process is? Okay, this is how it's going to go. What's the next step? Right? Some of that inside information because of the connection you made, right? Quote, always be networking, end quote. But yeah, I mean those kind of things. I mean that's awesome, right? You still had to perform, you still had to do the technical pieces of it, but just some of those things I was thinking about in my head about this topic.
Yeah, and a strategy I kind of landed on after applying for a lot of remote jobs, I just realized the pool was too big on those. I could see on LinkedIn how many
Yeah,
applicants, and it's thousands.
right.
So I just quit wasting my time on that. I thought total waste of time, and I
Yeah,
was only looking for local jobs. And I think that was another advantage with this one is that they wanted people that could come into the office, and
sure.
eventually we can go remote, but they definitely want us in the office for the first 6 months. So that gave me an advantage over because there's less people that can apply. So
Sure. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. From your cohort, your group, I don't know how many was in that group or the group you're in now. Um, well, how many
a
was that if
dozen.
you're a dozen? Okay. From the dozen, how were, your experience and skill sets? Just curious, like comparison, about the same? Were people that were higher or lower or more lower? I mean, I don't
I
know.
I think my skill set was actually near the high end. A lot of the people here were transitioning from other careers or didn't have
Mm,
security experience.
okay.
So yeah, I think it was rare that I had experience in security.
Gotcha. Do they
That's
weed
awesome.
anybody out? I'm just curious. It's like Hunger Games. Like, you
Yeah.
didn't make it. You didn't make it.
So you started with a dozen. Are there still a
Yeah,
dozen?
yeah. Still a
Or
Yeah.
dozen.
It's a good question, actually. Our class, everyone has survived up until this
Okay.
point,
Okay.
but the cohort ahead of us, one person did get cut, and people have been cut from previous cohorts for sure, for various reasons. Sometimes people try and cheat, and that
Mm,
obviously gets them cut. But the guy in the cohort again above us, he got cut because he couldn't do well in the client readouts. He just really struggled under the pressure of presenting and talking to people.
so you're saying communication is important.
I knew you'd like that one too. Yeah.
soft skills.
Hashtag soft skills.
Yeah. It
No,
definitely is.
it
It's a
is. It
huge
is
part of
important.
our
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. How has that been for you just because you're like you said, you're presenting to, not the quote unquote real client, but you still have to present. Does everybody in that cohort present in front of each other or like you just to the lead?
Just to the coach and
Okay.
our mentor.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then do they give you feedback?
They do. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a lot of feedback over the past couple months.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot and it's great. I think I've learned a lot about how to present. And for example, I went into my first readout and the guy said, "You're using too many likes and ums. You're talking too fast." All these things. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Good. No, really cool.
Does it remind you of like taking speech, like public speaking class in college?
Definitely. Yeah. But with like an added edge where you're talking to a client and they warn us ahead of time that clients will try to like get findings downgraded or removed. And so
Hmm.
they're almost hostile to us during the practice readouts,
Yeah.
just to see how we stand up to that pressure and to be able to stand our ground and like justify findings and to manage and navigate those like difficult situations.
No, that's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's real life. I mean, I know
Yeah.
John's got some stories of doing some work for other companies and them trying to downplay a finding. And I mean,
Oh,
even
yeah.
even for us, like in our organization, right? Like if we're getting audited or whatever, we want to make sure that hey, if you're gonna dock us on something, make sure it's legit and not just you because you're not knowledgeable enough to fully understand the problem. You're just gonna assume, oh yeah, it's bigger than it really is. But no, I think that's good. It's good training.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So how long do you have left in this phase?
Yeah, it just depends if I pass or not. So this might be my last week of the training program. I'm doing my final evaluation, and if I do a good job, then I'll graduate essentially.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have full
Okay.
confidence you're going to kill it, my
Yeah,
friend.
you got it. You got
Thank
it.
you, thank you.
And is that final, if you can say, is it like a final presentation based off a bigger scope or scale or something like that? Or
It's just another client application, and we've been doing client applications for a couple weeks, but they're slowly weaning away the support they give us, and they expect us to do better each week and ask less questions, basically.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, just another application pen test.
nice.
Interesting. Very cool.
On the technical skill side, have you taken like classes or they taught classes on, doing web app pen testing, right? Has it just been on the job, like, hey, we're going to start you at the small footprint of an application, and then now we're going to gradually move you up and give you feedback? Like, how have you gotten better at your skills?
Yeah. So, like I said, the first part was solely just learning concepts, learning what SQL injection is and cross-site scripting. And they took us pretty deep. We were learning a lot of HTTP headers and cookie directives and all these kinds of things. And that took about 2 months. And then after that, we were assessed on vulnerable applications, the ones out there like Juice Shop and those kinds of things. So, yeah, we started with smaller, more vulnerable apps. And then I think traditionally when you get into the client applications, they're a lot bigger and more secure. So, yeah, it's kind of been a transition from slow and more vulnerable to bigger and less vulnerable.
Yeah, makes sense. I was just curious, like, hey, you talked about cheating, but I mean, it's like Google, right? You can use Google to figure out things. Are they cool with you guys using, AI to help figure out web vulnerability problems and or troubleshooting those problems and looking for ways to, ways to exploit those vulnerabilities? Or they're like, hey, you got to learn this the manual way first.
There was definitely an emphasis on learning things manually at first, but yeah, AI is a tool just like anything else, just like a search engine, and they want us to use it. If we have questions about things, definitely ask ChatGPT or some AI. They don't want us obviously copying and pasting client information into
Sure.
the AI, so sometimes we have to be creative about how we ask questions. But yeah, AI use is definitely a part of what we're doing, and I think the company is trying to find more ways to integrate AI into our workflows, and mostly it's not being used to find vulnerabilities, but it's being used to help us write up our vulnerabilities, or that's kind of what they want it to be
Okay.
at first.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. No, thank you. I was curious about that. That's good to hear. I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, how's life, like taking a step back from just the professionalism? Like, how's life going for you, man? Just catching up.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned before we started recording, I got engaged a month ago, which is
Awesome.
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 Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, and things are going good. It feels good to have a job and income because before this job, I was working at a nursery and a bakery, and you just don't make enough money on minimum wage to live, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having the money has been really a relief. And it's allowed me to buy some things like woodworking tools. I've started doing some little woodworking things,
Very cool.
obviously. The beard, the hair, and woodworking.
Right. They come together.
They all go together.
It's a
Yeah.
package
And you
deal.
got a bread in the oven. It's like, look, I got both. No, that's awesome, man. It's
Yeah.
great to hear. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
proud
Yeah.
of you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've just been trying to find a good life balance so far. And I think some people can work all day on a computer and then go home and keep working on the computer. They just love it. They can't get enough.
Hmm.
But it definitely wears me out after a day of pen testing.
Yeah, yeah,
So I've been making sure I come home, I disconnect, go outside, get some nature, that kind of stuff. Can't come home and sit around anymore.
yep. That's great. Great way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing how draining it can be. You're just sitting there and you're doing stuff, just like all day, and you're just like, man, I've been sitting in a chair most of the day, but I'm exhausted.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's good. I mean, work-life balance is very important. I think people, and the reason why I was asking is because, when you are in that mindset of like, I got to get a job, I need to apply, I need to like level up my skills, like you're just thinking about the end game. And then you finally get it, then you're like, okay, now what? So it's good to just kind of like take a step back and just like reevaluate, soak it all in, just make sure your life is where you want it to be, and then you can go after the next goal or after the next adventure, whatever you have. So it's good to hear that from you, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I was excited to tell you guys how my life has been going and about the engagement for sure.
Yeah.
And I
That's
knew you
super
guys would get a
awesome.
kick out of my long hair. So,
And the
The
beard.
beard, yeah.
and the
When we
beard.
jumped on, I was like, "Are we talking cybersecurity, or is he going to tell us he's driving a train? Like, is he?
Let me tell
Like,
you
what are we
about
doing?"
mushroom foraging. I've got some tips for you guys.
That's funny. Well,
Man,
great,
that's awesome.
man. Yeah, any other, I think we talked about if you had any recommendations or anything like that you want to share.
Yeah.
Anything
Any
that comes to mind?
advice? Yeah.
Yeah, really, I've already said it all, but in summary, I think you guys are preaching a lot of good stuff, and the in-person connections are really important. I think they're more and more important, at least from my experience. It seems like that is the best way to find a job. And also social skills, or those soft skills, like you said, are
Yeah.
really important. If you want to be a pen tester, you have to present your findings to clients. So you have to be able to talk to people, hold your ground, navigate those difficult situations, all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Awesome. I couldn't have said it better. Good job.
Yeah. Seriously. It's so cool too. So for if y'all listening, this is the first time listening. I met Grant in 2017.
Yeah.
2017?
Yeah.
Sounds
That
about
sounds
2017?
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was applying for a job with John. John was putting me through his mini gauntlet at the time, and I was assigned one helper. And that one helper was Grant as a student. He was a student intern, and he sat next to me while I was going through this like challenge that like through Splunk that John put me through. And I remember that, Grant. I remember that.
Yeah,
Grant, you had your chance. You could have been like, this dude is
I know.
terrible.
My my one time I had power over Steve. If I could go back, you don't know what I would do.
Yeah, because I'm sure I was like, well, Grant, what did you think? What did you think? Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure you were like, oh, he was good. He worked with me and he talked to me and
Uh,
all that good stuff. So
Man.
yeah,
No, but it's crazy to think back then and now. Man, it is crazy. I'm glad we're still stay in touch and connect, and glad to hear things are going well for you. And congratulations again on the engagement, man. That's exciting. And I'll be waiting for a wedding invite. That's all I'm saying.
okay,
trip
if
to
we do a
Oregon. Here we
wedding,
go.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, you could be like somebody else we discussed and just like go to the office and just
Mm-hmm.
make it happen.
Yeah.
No, thanks so much for coming back on. We'll definitely we're gonna stay in touch.
Yeah.
If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out and let us know.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys for having me again. It was awesome to talk with you.
Yeah. Thanks,
you too.
Grant.
All right,
See you
with
guys
that,
later.
we'll see you.